1 year of death, destruction, and displacement. February 24th, 2022 is a day that will be remembered as many of us were glued to the TV, watching as Russia began its full-scale war in Ukraine. 1 year later, many areas of Ukraine are in ruins, and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians are now watching the war from foreign lands, where they are safe. But still, Ukraine holds on. Despite Russia's major military advantage, many say the spirit of Ukrainian fighters has been worth tenfold. The sounds of war 1 year later. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited a hospital today in Kiev to award soldiers and medical personnel for their service. A somber ceremony was held today to mark the anniversary in Kiev. Soldiers looked on as widows received medals honoring the sacrifice of husbands, fathers, sons, and brothers taken too soon. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau did not mince words today about Vladimir Putin's evil war and pledged 4 more tanks, 5,000 rounds of ammunition, as well as new sanctions on 129 individuals and 63 entities, including Russian government elites.
But there are also entirely senseless but avoidable tragedies born of evil, like what the world has witnessed in Ukraine. Millions of Ukrainians have been forced to flee their homes, and their fellow citizens are dying every day. Not because of an act of God, but because of the cowardly acts of one man, Vladimir Putin, and his enablers. A year ago, Putin invaded a sovereign, democratic country. He was driven by greed, by cruelty. He was under the illusion that he could overtake Ukraine in a matter of days. Well, 365 days later, Ukraine is still standing strong.
New tanks from Poland arrived in Ukraine today, too. NATO says while some think aid adds fuel to the fire, the help countries have been offering Ukraine is not the greatest danger of this war.
But there are no risk-free options. And the biggest risk of all is if President Putin wins. Because the message to him and other authoritarian leaders would be that they can use force to get what they want. That will make the world more dangerous and us more vulnerable.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has pledged $2 billion in aid to Ukraine. The Defense Department announced the aid package today. It includes more rounds for rocket launchers, more ammunition, as well as drone and counter-drone equipment. The Secretary of Defense says the U.S. will stand by Ukraine for as long as it takes.
As long as Ukraine continues to conduct operations and continues to work to take back its sovereign territory, we'll be there with them.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is calling on the international community to not let Putin's war crimes, quote, become our new normal at the United Nations Security Council today. Blinken listed horrific actions taken by Russia, including seizing land by force, erasing another country's borders, and targeting civilians in war.
Nations around the world continue to stand with Ukraine because we all recognize that if we abandon Ukraine, we abandon the UN Charter itself and the principles and rules that make all countries safer and more secure.
The world grieving with Ukraine as the war rages on.